Hey guys, it's Alex C with TFBTV, and for this week's TFBTV Weekly, we're actually going to cover a special topic that's been in the news a whole lot. I've been asked to cover this by a whole bunch of readers on both the Firearm blog and in the comments of TFBTV Weekly. Also by the editor Steve. Steve said that this would probably be a good idea, and I really agree. Basically, for those that don't know, a program called the Civilian Marksmanship Program was chartered in the early part of the 20th century. And it was, in fact, chartered to give civilians experience with marksmanship. They were, from what I've read, basically, civilians were very good at using things like lever-action rifles and single-shot breech loaders like Remington rolling blocks. But this didn't really carry over very well to military bolt-action rifles, which weren't popular for sporting use at the time, such as the 1903 Springfield and the Krag Jorgensen of that time period. So in 1996, until 1996, it was actually administered by the Army. And then in 1996, a 501c3 organization was formed as part of the NDA passing of that year. And that now administers what's known as the Civilian Marksmanship Program. It actually receives no federal funding, and they have a corporate structure. They have a chief operating officer and everything like that. But basically, the way it's set up is you can get a cheap M1 Garand, formerly things like 1903, and carbines were available, but those have run dry. But you can, to this day, get Garands if you qualify. We'll get to that a little bit later. But the passing of the new NDA, the defense bill, had a provision in it where basically, if they pass it with this wording, 10,000 of these 1911 pistols have to be released to the public and sold by the Civilian Marksmanship Program per year. So 10,000 of these babies will be sold by a previously government-owned organization to the public, which is pretty cool. You have to excuse me, I might be looking up or wrote my notes on a poster behind the camera, but basically everyone's asking, how do I get one of these guns? And it's not that hard. A lot of you might be familiar with the Civilian Marksmanship Program. You do have to qualify. It's not like buying a gun from a regular FFL, but you do have to be of a certain age, obviously, for a pistol that's presumably going to be 21. You do have to provide proof of citizenship, probably not going to be an issue for most of you guys. You do have to be a member of a qualified civilian marksmanship affiliated club, which is not hard. Check on their website to find a club near you. These aren't necessarily clubs like a gun club where you have to sit in a star chamber and discuss the month's minutes and everything like that. Some of these are just internet-only clubs. Lastly, you do have to provide proof of some kind of marksmanship training. That can be a concealed handgun license, police or military experience. Really not that big a deal. You can actually check out their website. There's some things that are pretty easy to do if you would like to qualify. Other than that, if I read it correctly, they will be required to get a federal firearms license if they want to deal in pistols. Not that big of a deal either, especially if you bought a pistol over the internet before. Just have it shipped to a dealer and you're good to go. Other stuff, let's see, like I said, 10,000 per year, this is cool, it strikes rifles and puts surplus firearms, so potentially this could actually open the door for other kinds of firearms. For example, if there's something other than Garands or M1 carbines or something like that still sitting around, it is possible and foreseeable that those could trickle in. This is all speculation, mind you, but I never thought that these would become available from the CMP, so it's not foreseeable, or it's not unforeseeable that other stuff will make its way through that pipeline. Lastly, let's see. As of 11:30, that's going to be yesterday, you can tell the CMP themselves have been getting tons of emails regarding how do I get one of these, I'd like to get one, stuff like that. The COO himself posted basically something that said, guys, this is great, but we don't have any other information. We have no more information than you do, which basically means they don't quite know how to move forward yet. They haven't figured out how to administer this yet. I'm sure they will, mind you, but this would almost be like if your boss came into your job and said, all right, guys, we're expanding our new product line to something that we've never done before. There you go. So they're kind of in this weird spot right now where they have a lot of time to figure it out, and I'm sure they will, but we don't want to jump the gun and give you any false information or speculate too much, but we can assure you that this is really fantastic news for everybody. On that, this is great news. I'm really happy about this. This could mean cheap 1911s. I think the first 10,000 or so will go for a lot of money because people will be foaming at the mouth to get one. But, in a couple years, they might be pretty affordable and reasonable. We'll see. I'm sure the usual gun show vultures will be scooping them up and trying to resell them and whatnot, but who knows? We'll see what happens, and I, for one, really look forward to getting a surplus 1911. You never know. You could get a Remington Rand, Ithaca, a Colt, and I'm sure that maybe some rare stuff like Singers will trickle in through the auctions, but we'll see about that. So, anyways, this was a special episode. I'm sorry we didn't get to more. I was asked to do this. I think it's awesome, though. So I'm Alex C. with TFBTV. Big thanks to Ventura Munitions for helping us out normally. Heck, I'd almost like to thank the CMP for moving forward with this and trying to figure everything out. But that's pretty cool that this is a reality. But we hope to see you next week. Hit that subscribe button. What we do have in store next week is someone asked, how does a belt-fed machine gun work by pulling the links and loading into the chamber of various belt-fed firearms? We can definitely cover that. By far the most asked question was, how do I buy a machine gun? I'm actually going to make a separate standalone video for that rather than address it in weekly so that you guys have the best possible information. But other than that, we hope to see you next week.